Let's turn off the chat.
No, I didn't. Who heard something?
Identify yourself.
Yeah, we're broadcasting on Periscope live right now.
Oh.
To 17 people.
CNN?
Pardon me?
Where are you broadcasting?
My Twitter feed.
Oh, okay.
Thousands and thousands of people.
Here we go.
Here he comes. Yeah, there he is.
Are you kidding?
No, you're not Ben. You're not Ben Carson. And there's Ben Carson walking in, joined by Stephanie Grisham. Press aide to House Speaker David Gowan. And Ben Carson.
It is. Hello. Welcome to Arizona. We're ready to have you on our ballot.
It is Arizona Secretary of State Michelle Reagan taking his one-page piece of paper to run for the Arizona presidential preference election March 22nd. Appears he is now signing the paper. This is a riveting process right here. It is just one page. And looks like Michelle Reagan is signing it right now. Sharing a laugh there. Could be waiting for a notary. Michelle Reagan, Secretary of State on the left. She is a Republican in her first term. Former state legislator from Scottsdale. He appeared to be making some small talk. Ben Carson in town to speak at an industry conference up at the Fairmont Princess. All the photographers here playing very nice together. There are about 12 of us present.
Here you go. It's official. You are on Arizona's ballot.
There it is, Secretary of State Michelle Reagan declaring it is official. Ben Carson is on the Arizona ballot in the presidential preference election, March 22nd.
So as you can see, I am officially registered in the state of Arizona.
Dr. Carson, a Greek official has confirmed that the Syrian passport found on the body of one of the Paris attackers is in fact a refugee who had crossed into the European Union. What is your reaction to the fact that this one of the attackers was in fact a refugee?
Well, I think it just confirms what I've been saying. If we take in, thousands of people from that area, it would be almost malpractice of the global jihadists not to infiltrate them with their people. And at some point, we just have to start using common sense. Doesn't mean that we're not compassionate, that we don't care about other people, but we can use some of our resources and some of our expertise to help them get settled in their areas so that when peace comes to Syria, it's very easy for them to be repatriated.
President Obama just departed from the White House for the G20 just about an hour ago. Do you think he should have canceled the trip?
I don't have any comment on what he should be doing. I mean, he obviously has a lot more information about it than I would have.
How do you shut the door on refugees who are trying to escape the same people who committed the atrocities yesterday in Paris?
Like I said, I think we should be compassionate. We should use our resources and our expertise to help them get settled elsewhere, use our influence to try to help some of the countries around that area to take some of them in.
So resettle them somewhere in the Middle East.
I think that would make a lot of sense.
Can you name a country that might take them?
I think all the countries there should take them, and that's why I said we should use our influence to convince them to take them.
Some other candidates have put the blame, or at least responsibility, some of the responsibility of the Paris attacks at the step of the Obama administration. Would you go that far?
I think we live in a society where everybody wants to blame everybody for everything. I think where we really should be putting the emphasis on how do we stop this? How do we prevent these kinds of things from happening? What do we do to make sure that this is not going to be a common occurrence in the United States?
Could more have been done?
There's always more that can be done.
Obama wants to bring 10,000 of the refugees here, and last night he said he wanted to destroy the militants that did this. What would you do as president?
Well, I certainly would not be bringing people here from an area of the world where they're likely to be infiltrated with people who don't have our best interest in mind.
Trump's saying that gun control, if there was gun control, or if there wasn't gun control in Paris, if they were armed, for example, that these attacks may not have happened. What's your response to that?
I think that's going fairly far afield. You know, we're dealing with people who have a mindset of destruction and a thirst for innocent blood, and that's where we have to focus.
How do the attacks now change your view of what should happen in the Middle East? How we should deal with ISIS, if they change them at all?
They just reinforce my view that we really need to take the battle to them where they are. Because if we don't, they're going to continue to expand and they're going to be over here.
Boots on the ground? What does that mean? American forces in Syria and Iraq? What does that mean?
I would use all things that are necessary. And I would do that in conjunction with some very good military strategies. But, you know, the key is to take the battle to them over there. Remember, they have, in fact, created a caliphate. You know, half of Iraq and a third of Syria. They will need to protect that. So if you want to bring them out into the open, you challenge that, and then you fight them.
How many troops do you think we'll need?
Again, it really depends on what they bring out. We will use whatever we need to use. And I think the key thing, as I've mentioned many times before, we may not have to have that many troops, but we do have to demonstrate leadership if we want a real strong coalition to form. It's not going to form unless it has a leader.
Aren't we walking away from American values by shutting the door on refugees, and isn't that what ISIS wants?
We're walking away from American values when we don't use common sense, because Americans used to have common sense.
Last week, this past week, Mr. Trump portrayed you as a Willie Horton type character. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is, as a mature adult, I don't get dragged into silly stuff like that. That's the stuff that I used to get dragged into when I was a kid.
Did you ever expect that to get brought up? Did you ever expect to be portrayed that way in a presidential race?
Oh, it doesn't surprise me that people will do anything they can to try to denigrate someone else and elevate themselves. Isn't that human nature?
What does it tell you about Mr.
Okay,
Trump's
folks,
nature?
This is great. Thank you so much. We're excited to be here, and we're off.
All right.
Thanks.
And Ben Carson is off. He is now on the ballot in Arizona. You heard his comments there on the Paris attacks on Donald Trump.
Walking after you.
About to find out. I don't think so.